Hello, everybody. Welcome to the seventh episode of our Two Minds, One podcast. We have a couple interesting topics for you today. We actually just got back from vacation, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't film or we didn't record last week because we went to do a half marathon and up in Glacier, and we took the time to take a week to also explore Glacier National Park.
For those of you who don't know where that's at, it's in Montana, and it's in the northern part of Montana.
Really close to Canada.
Really
by the
close to Canada. We were about 15 to 20 miles
from the
Canadian border.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Too bad we didn't know that you could just drive over there with your license. You don't need your passport.
I don't know. That's what our neighbors at the time said. So for context, we had we stayed at an RV park.
RV/campground.
Yeah, RV/campground. We camped there, and we had some neighbors that were also participating in the race, and we spoke with them a few times throughout our trip. And they, during one of their days off, went up to Canada. They went up to Canada, but they didn't have their passports, and they came back, right?
Yeah, they said they were allowed through with just their driver's license, which has the real ID here in America.
Yeah, that's only if your driver's license has the real ID. I do believe neither of our licenses have it.
No, I have it. Remember that they tricked me at the DMV that one time. I had to renew my thing.
Well,
I didn't want to do it at the time, but yeah.
So yeah, your real ID counts as a sort of semi-smaller
but
passport.
only with partnerships.
Only with North American countries.
I think it was Mexico
so
and
Mexico
Canada.
and Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So that is something. For those of you that don't know, Real ID is something you're going to need to have to travel anywhere domestically, even be it, if you're going from, for example, California to New York, you're going to need it on your flight. You're going to need that by 2025. So the date has continuously been pushed back, but I believe the 2025 date is a hard stone start date now.
Yeah.
Because it was pushed back due to the pandemic and copious other reasons. But back to our vacation. You were saying?
What was I saying?
You were saying we were up in Canada? We were in Montana.
We were in Montana. We went to run a half marathon, Glacier. And if you guys want to know, the entity we ran with was Vacation Races.
Yes.
It's vacationraces.com if you guys want to check it out. And on their rating scale, it was a 4.9 out of 5. So it's one of their toughest half marathons. The elevation gain is a little over 1,200 feet in the first 5 miles.
Yeah, it was a jolly good time.
Yeah. It was our second ever half marathon.
Very difficult. But nonetheless, it was very fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
It was a great time. We had a good time. We went out. We explored the park. We did many hikes. There were so many hikes that we could not do, not because of our inability, but because we just didn't have enough time. It felt like after every 5 bends or turns, you found a new hike, and all of them were...
some of the most wonderful hikes were like 5, 6, 7 miles one way.
Yeah,
that's all day.
Which is majority of the time, especially if you have a larger party. It's an all day thing.
Yeah, we went with 10 people.
11.
Right? 11, and my son Levi.
Yeah, you count him.
Yeah,
because he definitely counts as a person on the plane. So he counts as a person.
We had our parents, and they haven't done any real long hiking like that, so we didn't.
Camping.
Yeah, we decided not to do any of the really long hikes that'll take all day. Also.
Yeah, I think our longest hike was about 4 miles one way, so 8 miles total, and that was to Avalanche Lake, which, for those of you that have been to Glacier, it's a relatively popular spot. It's also a relatively easy hike where there is elevation gain, but the trail to Avalanche Lake is very well maintained and upkept by the park rangers, and so it was relatively easy. Funny enough, we did get rained on that day.
We did,
which was funny. We also found that porta potty in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, they did have
they had
a hole in the ground outhouses.
Little hole in the ground outhouses. I'd say about 5 to 10 minutes before reaching Avalanche Lake. So yeah, it was interesting.
No, it was. And then we ended up camping out there for the 7 days. in the group of 11.
So how was your experience with the camping, Raymond? Because I know we differ a bit, definitely.
I'm not gonna lie, there was the difficulties. The first night, a couple nights were really cold, right?
Really cool is an understatement.
Right,
I
but
think
it's an experience that I took it as an experience to learn that the cold there versus the cold here is different. Up there, if
I
it's
think I need to sleep in
33
it to tell you that, though.
No,
But I do agree.
so I've gone camping.
That's the real cold. That's the Canadian cold.
Yeah, that was the Canadian. It was cold.
And it wasn't even cold times because we went technically in spring.
In spring, yeah, at the beginning of the tourist season.
Yeah.
It was. I've slept in 30-degree, 33, 35-degree weather in a tent, and it was not that cold. It was like you bundled yourself, and the exposed parts, your nose, your mouth, were freezing, so you had to put those under your blanket as well. It was cold. It was a different cold. But other than those, I enjoyed it. I really did.
The cold was a big factor.
Once we figured out how to sleep properly.
I mean, once you got your new sleeping bag.
Well, that's basically figuring out how to sleep in it, right? Right? It was good. It wasn't a problem anymore. And I slept fine.
Okay.
And I enjoy the camping because it's so peaceful in the sense that it really lets you forget about the things, the rush of living here, what we do, right?
The hustle and bustle of living
in the city of California, and getting to really enjoy each other. You know what I mean? The company and whatnot.
It was a lot of fun. I do agree with you. I enjoyed the dissociation from technology, from internet. We didn't have cell service for most of the time we were there. I'd say probably around 10 to 15% of the time we were there, we had cell service, which was
and it didn't even bother.
It didn't bother me. It did bother other people that were camping.
Yeah. They were really addicted to their phones. Yeah.
They were not be named.
But I mean, waking up to those views.
That was part of something that I enjoyed, was the disconnect. To disconnect from the internet, from everybody else, from your phone, internet, checking, all of that. That was nice.
Having that constant stress, like, oh my god.
To the cold.
The cold?
The cold was next level cold. It was
cold.
Quite interesting because I thought we were prepared. Everybody thought that they understood that it was going to be cold, and we had done our research beforehand, and we looked at what the temperatures were saying were going to be at nightfall, but
we didn't know the wind chill was going to be that bad. I swear, it was like 35, but with the wind, it felt like 28. It was a 7-degree difference. It was insane.
Freezing. It was very cold.
Yeah.
It was very cold. Very difficult to sleep in the first 2 nights. I will say. Definitely.
No, it was.
We did figure things out to sleep.
But now we know next time.
Sleep warmer.
For better, yeah.
I will say, for those of you who are listening, if you do plan on, sleeping somewhere where the nights are getting, into the 30s, buy yourself a nice sleeping bag. It makes a big difference in the quality of sleep you're going to get and how well insulated it keeps you, right?
Yep.
Your traditional sleeping bags that you can find at Walmart, Costco, things of that nature are kind of all around, all weather seasons, which means I think their temperature ranges from 80 degrees to 40 degrees, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes they claim lower.
I picked up a 30 degree.
Yeah.
30 degree, Fahrenheit one, and it was perfect.
That one's good. But most sleeping bags are not rated for that temperature. Another thing that made it extra cold was that I know we had air mattresses.
And air gets cold.
It's cold because they're full of air.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
By the way, side note, I found that foam air pad.
Here.
I found the website.
Oh.
So we can order it.
Amazing. Lovely.
We visited the Costco up in Kalispell, Montana, and we tested.
For those of you wondering, how our flights went, it went from LAX to Salt Lake, and then from Salt Lake to Kalispell, which is essentially we landed in the Glacier National Airport.
Yeah, the international airport for Glacier. And so that's the biggest city We ended up staying in Browning, Montana, which is the
Close to
side
Browning.
close to Browning, which is where the half marathon was gonna be run. And Kalispell, just to give you it's about 2 hours away. So they had a Costco there. We went there and we saw this like pad. It's foam and air, and it folds up really small, nice and compact, and it is super comfortable.
Yeah,
Better than an air mattress.
It was better than our air mattresses. Our air mattresses were definitely not designed to be taken camping and not designed to be used in that.
They take up
cold
too much
condition.
space in the tent. Even though me and my
Yes.
wife slept in a 6-person tent, air mattresses take up too much space, so you can't really stand, and it gets really awkward.
Yes, they do
If you
take up a
had
significant amount of space, which
those
is one of
pads,
the big gripes.
Yeah, if we had, because they have a queen pad of that size for 2 people, so like one of those and the small one would have fit probably within the space of a regular queen mattress, and you have more walking space, less things getting cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to move it, right? So I think those would be great, because it was like having to crawl around your tent because of the air mattress. I didn't like that. You know,
You're just complaining about crawling, dude. Sounds like you just don't like being on your knees. But neither here nor there. So yeah, the air mattress was a big thing.
yeah.
Very cumbersome. Having to pump it up every night was not fun because it would deflate due to the changing temperature. But other than it being cold, it was a good time.
Yeah, and we always smelled like firewood, like
Yes,
campfire, which
every
was kind
night
of awesome.
and every morning almost we had a campfire going, and so
Yep.
everybody always smelled of that campfire smoke.
Yeah, which is really, I really like that smell.
It's hit or
Personally.
miss for me, definitely.
I think it depends on the wood.
Maybe
you're burning.
maybe it depends on the wood.
The one we were burning there was really nice. They smelled really good.
Yeah, so it's hit or miss. Definitely, I feel like in the moment of the campfire, I like the smell. Outside of the moment, where I go grab my sweater and I forgot that I had taken it camping, I
Mhm.
throw it on, and I smell like, what the hell? And it smells like campfire. A little less like, oh yes, this is a great smell. Like I wouldn't have it as a perfume
No,
for sure, or a cologne. Sorry,
But it ain't something that you're just like. Ugh,
There is a
I don't
cologne
want to
out
smell
there.
it.
There is a cologne out there that is campfire smell.
For real?
Yes, I've seen it. I've smelled it.
Where do you find these things? How do you?
How do I know? I
Yeah.
went shopping
Mm-hmm.
for graduation parties, and I was just looking for colognes. And there's one titled like Fire and Oak. I forgot the name.
Oh.
Something like that. And I was like, oh wow.
Did it
what
smell
is-
pretty good?
No.
No. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I wonder what Fire and Oak smells like. And they had the strips so you can spray the cologne onto.
Smell like
and,
campfire?
And they pretty much just smell like campfire, but like super strong and
Well, yeah,
not.
because it's perfume. Because it ain't real
Well, it's
campfire.
not-
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was interesting. There was one that tried to smell like charcoal also. That one also smelled bad.
That's probably really strong if they try to make it smell like charcoal.
Yes, it's just my recommendation is not to get any colognes in the smells of burning woods or
Yeah,
burning
just burn
things.
real wood and let it get on your clothes. Smells better.
It'll definitely smell better. Definitely not my recommendation for cologne, but every person is different. Wasn't my personal favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how I know. And then fun fact also, at perfume outlets or cologne stores, the smell they use to cleanse your nose palette is actually coffee.
Really?
Yes, so they have like a coffee smelling perfume, like an extract that smells like coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and they use that to cleanse your nose palette because after a while, after smelling different things, stuff starts to blend in your nose, and so
Yeah.
they use that like as a way to cleanse your
Because
nose
of the
palette.
coffee, bitter, strong smell of it.
I don't know what the reasoning was. I just know that the lady there
Interesting.
used it, and it wasn't the only person. The two different ones, and
Mhm.
they were both using coffee. I found myself smelling the coffee smell more than the colognes because I enjoyed it more than most of them. But
Okay.
pretty interesting note.
Well, back to you were saying, your experience with the camping,
Yes.
the stay.
Overall, I'd probably rate it an 8 out of 10.
Not bad. Okay.
80%, not bad. I would definitely go camping again. I don't know if I'd go for the length of time
I think we're prepared more now because we did it for so long.
Or maybe it wasn't the length of time, but the organization of the events and how we did it. The fact that we had the race in the middle, right, and we did nothing. We did less the day before the race and the day of the race. For those of us running the race, it was not that bad because we had a big event the race day, and the day before was in preparation for that. But everybody else that was there, significant others, friends and family, were just stuck at camp, not really doing anything. And that was not because we were holding them hostage, but more of their own volition of not wanting to go out and do something without us. But yeah, it's that really kind of threw the pace off because we arrived. We went
I heard hiking. A couple of them complaining.
We drove around the park. We familiarized ourselves. Then we hiked. Then the next day we did nothing. Then we raced.
And we were drained.
So we didn't do much that day. And the following day we continued to hike again.
But that's kind of, I feel like the Saturday was also a little my fault. Because I ended up really severely dehydrated.
No, it wasn't.
I felt like I kept us there because I passed out. I was like...
No, dude, it's not so your fault. Nobody else wanted to do anything other than not to name names, but other people did want to do stuff, right? But our parents seemed very adamant not to split the party, essentially, go do stuff, and then, they were very, very much go with the flow. And we were the ones very much deciding what's going to be happening in the itinerary and whatnot.
Yeah.
In the future, for future races, if you guys are just a recommendation, if you're going with a large party of people, one of the things we did notice was that having an actual itinerary of what is going to be what is going to be done on what days as in events, very helpful because there was a lot of time wasted in the bickering / discussing of the what to do today in the morning, which was about 2 to 3 hours of wasted time every day that could be used in doing another event.
Yeah, 2-3 hours, couple mile hikes, or the drive to the place.
You can do a lot. You could have organized and signed up for whitewater rafting or gone horseback riding because the horseback riding event was 2 hours.
Yep.
So even if you encompass it 2 hours,
I was a little bummed that we didn't get to do those two. Whitewater rafting and the horseback, but we got to do it next time we go.
I will say, those of you who haven't been to Montana, it is a beautiful, gorgeous state in the springtime. I'm sure it's equally beautiful and gorgeous in the winter. However, I just do not find myself wishing to travel there during the winter because it is very, very, very cold.
Yeah.
And it snows a lot.
And we're Californians.
Nothing against the snow. We're just Californians. And, 60 degrees is about, and I'm like, man, it's kind of chilly. I might throw on a jacket. And in Montana, they're like 60 degrees, man. It's tank top and shorts weather. It's really hot today. So, all I'm going to say is their highs of the summer is 80. In California, if it's 80, you're like, oh, it's a nice day.
Yep.
So yeah, that is something to note.
Okay. Now, what did you think of the park?
I thought the park was absolutely... Sorry. I thought the park was absolutely gorgeous. A lot of it took many, many photos. A lot of it was insanely beautiful, I guess, for lack of a better term. A lot of the times it felt like I wasn't staring at a real sky and a real mountain and a real forest, but more of those Windows screensavers where they're like, oh, look here, you interested in what this is? This is located in, so-and-so. But yeah, it looked like a green screen, like a screensaver. It looked so real, it looked fake. It looked so real, it looked fake. That's the only way I know how to describe it.
It did.
It was...
The sky was so blue and clear. The clouds were so white. So...
Not even the clouds, bro. The sky was the same. I feel like the sky was sky.
No,
Sky
the
was
sky was way clearer over
sky
there
was
compared
sky.
to here.
Sky was sky, dude.
Okay.
I wasn't too busy staring at the sky.
Let me finish.
I
Let me
was-
finish what I was saying. The sky includes in the picture because we're used to the sky here in California with the smog. It's different. It is different. Okay.
I do understand that it's different.
But the mountains, the falls, the lakes that are so blue. I mean, every lake we saw was blue. See
Every
through.
river we saw was blue.
See through.
Yeah.
You could literally see through it. It was the green was this deep,
Lush green.
lush, nourished green. You can tell these plants were healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like those calendar pictures that you get on like National
'Cause it probably
Forest
was.
calendar. Like insane. And the animals. I mean, we walked. I don't know how many times we saw a deer,
3
and
times.
the deer literally on the trail, right next to us. I'm talking about hands out. I could have took a step and touched that deer.
Yeah, and they get
And
kicked in the face.
Yeah, they did not care we were there. They just stared at us and kept eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was beautiful.
No, it was, and it was like perfect weather, not too hot and not too cold. The times that we ended up going hiking, a little warm
During
maybe.
the day, the weather was really
Yes.
good. During the night,
Oh no, yeah, when
it
there's
was
no more sun, all the wind,
freezing every day.
it was cold.
Even every night when
Yep.
you guys said, "Hey
No,
guys,
no, it
it's
was
only
cold.
going to be 46 tonight," with like 15-mile-an-hour winds, so it still felt like 28.
Yeah, it was cold.
But yeah, speaking of the lakes, rivers, that blue, you said that the blue and the clearness of the water reminded you of Hawaii because you said you've been to Hawaii.
It did. It reminded me of the water when I went to Maui.
How so?
The beach, you know, like the beach here in California looks like dirty. You can't really see the water.
There's a lot of sediment in the water.
Yeah, right. Okay. Over there wasn't. You walk in, before you're even waist deep, the water is blue and clear. And once you get waist deep in, you can see and the water's just blue and clear. Like I could see 7 feet down.
That's crazy, man.
And it was warm. And Hawaii was warm. Like,
Well, let me tell
I'm
you.
talking about like 73-degree water, though. Perfect temperature.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, that glacier lake I jumped into,
Oh yeah.
it wasn't no 73.
No,
I was
I'm
like
sure
40 degrees.
I'm sure that was like 40 or below.
It was cold. As soon as my chest hit that water, I felt like my chest was going under chest compressions. Like my body went into like that. You know, when you dump yourself into, really something really cold.
An ice bath. Yeah.
Yeah. Felt like I was in an ice bath. But I was one of the only people to jump in, myself and a friend of mine, because Raymond over here was too much of a chicken to jump in. Keep in mind, we did jump in our boxers, but I mean, still. So why didn't you? Let's analyze that. Why didn't you jump in?
Oh no, I didn't jump in because I was annoyed with the situation at the time, not because I didn't want to jump in. I did want to jump in with you guys, but I had just distanced myself to relax and calm down.
Yeah, you see anything interesting with your binoculars?
I did. I saw deer, and I was able to see a ram.
A
Or was
goat.
it a goat?
A goat. A mountain goat.
A mountain goat.
Speaking
I
of.
was able to see a mountain goat with really big horns. It looked
Speaking
cool.
of animals, we did see, at least personally, I saw the quadfecta of animals that you're gonna really see at
I did too.
Glacier. You got to see the when you enter the park. There's signs telling you what kind of wildlife, the large wildlife that live there. The large wildlife that live there are deers, bears, moose.
Two kinds of bears.
Two kinds of bears. There's brown bear and black bear.
Mm-hmm.
Moose, and then goats.
Mountain goats.
Mountain goats.
Two types of mountain goats, actually.
Yeah.
You have the
but
mountain goats and you have the white goats.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They're the goats,
Mhm.
for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, first hike, we saw a deer. Check that off the box. First hike, actually, before even our first hike, we saw a bear. If you want to tell them about how we saw a bear
Yeah, we saw
about
a bear.
100 yards away in the foliage, stared us down.
So we went to an area called Many Glaciers. Many as in
Multiple, not many
glaciers.
As in mini,
Yeah.
because that
it sounds confusing.
Sparked plenty of confusion.
Yeah.
Throughout the trip.
So we were walking. We had to park at the hotel, Many Glacier Hotel, to walk to the hike that we wanted, the trail that we wanted to take.
Which was Red Rock Falls.
Yeah, Red Rock Falls. But on the way there, this gentleman said there's a bear in the forest, literally right across the street, the drive.
Across the road.
Across the road. And we're like, what? Okay, so we'll walk around and we'll just avoid the bear. But as we walk around through the little picnic area and we start walking back towards the trail. We look in the forest and we see the bear, a mama bear, a papa bear, and 2 cubs, or maybe two female bears. We don't know, but it was 4 bears, 2 big, 1 small, and 2 little ones. Made eye contact with said grizzly bears. By the way, not brown bears.
They were grizzly bears. Not
black bears, brown bears, grizzlies. And as soon as we made eye contact, I was like, no, we're gonna wait it out.
Yeah, so as soon as we made eye contact with the bears, we essentially decided...
Because they were probably...
I think that hike is nice.
100 yards away.
I think that hike is nice, but I think living is better.
Yeah, because they were walking towards us when we made eye contact.
They were walking in the same direction as the hike, not specifically towards us. So the hike was in our general vicinity to the left of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the bears were walking in that direction.
No, but when I made eye contact, that bear started moving forward.
It did not move forward because I also made eye contact with the bear, but neither here nor there. It did make eye contact with us twice.
It did.
But that was our first encounter with bears.
Mm-hmm.
So, continue on with the wildlife.
Yeah.
Moose. On the car ride.
Mm-hmm.
On the car ride to Glacier, I think East Glacier entrance, it's about a 15 to 20 minute drive. Right?
Yeah, to St. Mary, yeah.
Through St. Mary.
East side, uh-huh.
Right? And during that drive, I happened to see a moose on the side of the road with its cub, with its baby moose.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was the only one because everybody else was talking, distracted, and I pointed it out.
And I was driving, so...
And Raymond was driving too fast to see anything, really. So everything you see is just, oh, wow, cool, look. Oh, sorry, guys, it's gone. So I did see the moose. That same day that we saw the moose, on the way back out of Glacier Park, we did see the white goats on the side of the road.
Oh,
white mountain goats. Near the cliff sides, too.
Yeah, they looked like they were ready to hit some cars because everybody was stopping to take pictures.
Yes. And then closer to the exit, we did also see...
A cub.
A
grizzly bear.
A grizzly bear cub, to be specific. We saw...
Right on the side of the road.
Maybe, I'd say, 6 yards from our car. Just walking around through the foliage, minding his own business or their own business.
Eating,
looking for something to eat. And traffic piled up because everybody was stopping to take pictures and videos of this.
And they were taking forever.
And they were taking...
20. They were trying to sit there 20 minutes, record this guy until he disappeared into the forest.
Yes, they were not...
They were not using their brains, in my opinion.
They were not taking into account that the fact that this is a cub and that the cub is normally closely followed
by the mama bear.
By the mom bear. And the cub is cute, cuddly, in a sense. Still can hurt you, but not as much as,
They're not as aggressive as the mama.
Because they're small and they're afraid. Yep. But that mama bear has no fear when protecting its cubs.
Oh, no.
And it will
attack a
your car. In your car, you may think you're safe in your car, but you're not. We were told many times by park rangers that bears, in fact, are smart enough to open car handles and door handles for your car. So just because you're inside your car does not mean you're safe. So
they're even strong enough to rip certain doors off cars.
Exactly. So
off certain cars.
So keep that in mind if you guys are ever visiting bear country. We did have bear spray with us upon all of our hikes to make sure we were safe. Make sure that we were prepared. Bear spray, for those of you who don't know, it's just really, really intense pepper spray, and you're supposed to spray it at the bear particularly its nose and face
Yep.
and eyes.
Directly at the face.
Directly at the face.
To make it back up, or at least give you time to
run away.
to run away.
We were instructed that when using bear spray, it's not a weapon to be used for offensive things. So, for example, if you're walking and you look to your right and you see a bear and it's minding its own business,
leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Do not go agitate the bear with the bear spray.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge its existence and then decide if you're going to go forward or backwards. And essentially just go in the opposite direction of the bear. But keep in mind that the bear is there and understand that,
most bears, they only attack when agitated or when they're scrounging for you through your food.
Yes.
For your food.
Yes. So, yeah. We did have bear spray. So, moving on. We saw the bear, saw the goats, saw the moose, saw the deer. The bonus item.
You didn't see the buck. You were asleep.
Yes, I was asleep because after the race, I got sick.
Yeah.
That is sickness I'm still dealing with now, but just a common cold. But I was taking a nap, and it's very difficult to take a nap when everybody was screaming in the car 3 to 4 times about some moose, goats, and a baby bear.
Mm-hmm.
So I did miss the buck. Not super mad about it because I told Raymond when we arrived, I came here to see one animal and one animal only, and that was a bear. I definitely got more than I expected. A grizzly bear? Definitely got more than I expected. But that was that. We did see the chipmunks also on one of our hikes.
Oh, the little chipmunks by the lake.
I fed the chipmunks out of my hand.
Was it Josephine Lake?
No, it was the Avalanche Lake.
It was Avalanche Lake. It was Avalanche Lake.
Avalanche Lake.
Yeah.
I did get to feed the chipmunks. I know they tell you not to feed the chipmunks, but I went against my baser instincts and instead decided to feed the chipmunks because they were cute and cuddly. I named them Theodore, Alvin, and Roosevelt, I think.
Was it?
I don't know.
Alvin and Roosevelt. I don't remember their names.
It might be. For those of you, that's an Alvin and the Chipmunks reference. But, yeah, it's pretty cool. That tiny little paws. They're kind of reminding me of a mouse or a hamster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're hamsters.
They were closely related to squirrels. Cute little guys. Fed them some almonds. But, yeah. So that was interesting.
One of the deer was pregnant.
We did see
recently gave birth.
We did see a pregnant deer, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was a pregnant deer.
But, yeah, the wildlife there was interesting. Except everything was very...
Oh, we didn't see this, but the neighbors did on their way up to Canada.
Oh, you're talking about the bison.
Yeah, the bison.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and explain that.
So there hasn't been any... The bison was killed off in Glacier over 100 years, over 120-some years ago. So there has been no bison there. Yes. Right? And so what the National Parks Association and the Blackfeet Indians together did was raise some bison. I'm not sure where they raise it. This is the information that we received from our neighbors that they got from the park rangers and the Blackfeet Indians. They raised bison, and they were there the day that was the first time that they've reintroduced bison into Glacier National Park.
Yes.
And they're hoping that by introducing a couple 50 to 60 bison, that they would survive and and repopulate the bison. Yes. And they had young bison and full grown big 600-700 pound bison.
They were
huge. They took videos, they showed us. I'm sure if for them in person, it was probably a beautiful sight to see the bison run off. Yeah.
So those of you who are wondering, you can look that up. I'm sure it was covered by some news outlet like National Geographic or
it was probably on the national parks.
Yeah, probably National Parks news outlet and radar. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you just look up Glacier National Park bison, release
or reintroduction or something.
or something of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to see. I'm sure they had photographers with photos or videos of.
Oh, I'm sure
happened,
they did.
Right. But they did mention that this, reintroduction of the bison is going to be a hands-off like
Introduction
where if they make it and they survive, wonderful, and if they're dying,
they're not gonna.
The humans
intervene.
they're not going to intervene.
Mm-hmm.
If they're struggling to acclimate, which I thought was interesting. But
Which
yeah,
I don't think they should, because they said that there was some ancestor bison from the original bisons there, and then they mated them, I think, with some from Yellowstone.
I don't know. We don't know the full details.
We don't know.
I'm not going to
But,
speculate
yeah.
on that. But
Hopefully,
I hope that they
and I think they will. Honestly, I think they will. They survive in Yellowstone, and it's
relatively the same natural habitat. The
Yeah.
only issue now is that you have bison, also that are going to be interacting with humans, and our bison to human interaction ratio is not very great, as we, kind of killed them off.
yeah. The
I'm sure-
Yellowstone ones are
I'm
actually
sure-
pretty calm from what I've seen. I'm not saying they don't attack and then that they haven't. They do, but they'll be within a football field of you or closer, and just sitting there relaxing, not doing anything. But they still say, "Don't get close.
Yeah.
Don't get close," because they could, out of fear, attack you.
I wouldn't recommend anybody
Yeah.
to get close to any large wildlife.
And bison will
animals,
run you over.
Even small wildlife.
Mhm.
Snakes are dangerous too. But overall, I think the trip was fun. It was
a blast.
It was a
to me.
blast. It was a good time. Got many souvenirs.
Mhm.
Picked myself up some jackets, some sweaters because I was cold, beanies, coffee mug, that sort. But overall, I'd say Montana. And we had this discussion when we went to Costco out in Montana. It is a beautiful, beautiful state.
It is.
In the summer, in the spring, it is gorgeous. It's lush. It's green.
It's a beautiful
Having
place.
a summer vacation home there would be phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Which got me thinking. I know we discussed this, but that's one of many national parks here in the United States, and not all national parks are of the same, I'd say, beauty, right?
Yeah.
Some are,
Yosemite is gorgeous, but it wasn't a glacier kind of.
It's every national park's different, but they all have their own beauty and their thing that attracts people there, which got me thinking as to what people collectively think is the most beautiful country, because I know the United States has many national parks. I forget how many.
Oh, it's a lot. I mean, most of Alaska is a national park.
Yes, almost all of Alaska is
Yeah.
a national park belonging to a national park. This national park or that national park.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
A lot of it is reserved to preserve its natural beauty. Got me thinking. People love to rank things. Humans love to say first, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc., etc. So I'm thinking, what countries people consider to be the most beautiful? And so, according to the very solid and very factually based and not totally some person's biased list, I just quick research for the best most beautiful countries in the world. This comes from this list specifically comes to you from roughguides.com.
Okay.
Right? It's like a guided tour thing. They rank travel destinations, etc., etc., right? So they have a blog, and in their blog they write that Japan is number 20. Number 19 is Slovenia. 18 is Portugal. 17 is Indonesia.
Okay.
16 is India.
I have heard Indonesia is really beautiful.
I have, yeah.
I've been wanting to go.
15, Croatia surprised me.
Really?
Yes. 'Cause Croatia, for those of you that don't know, is it's near the sea, but it also used to be part of the Soviet Union.
Maybe it has a unique sea.
I'm sure it's
Something.
probably similar to Greece in that sense, where it's like near the Mediterranean Sea, etc. And it's also in Europe, right? So it has the European architecture going for it, and other things like that. I'm just saying that that one was surprising.
Yeah.
But Argentina was one on there, right? Which
Mhm.
was slightly less surprising because Argentina is in South America,
Mhm.
which does have part of the rainforest, the
Amazon rainforest. Yeah.
which is, I would argue
It has
one of,
the Amazon rainforest.
has parts of it, yeah.
Yeah.
This is just a spectacular thing, someplace I'd like to visit.
Mhm.
But there's I'm sure all of you have, not all of you, but those of you who have seen Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, remember that in Argentina there's essentially the wall of waterfalls,
Mhm.
right? I don't know if you remember the scene I'm talking about, but that location where it was filmed was not CGI, and it was real, and it was filmed in Argentina. 13 is Iceland. I know you have plans to travel to Iceland
Yes, I
coming here
do.
soon.
For
But,
my honeymoon.
the Aurora Borealis, right? And it's just geography and everything. It's just phenomenal. Number 12 was Chile, another one that surprised me.
Chile. I'm surprised it was on there.
Because it's desert and mountain ranges. Don't get me wrong. They have Machu Picchu, right? One of the wonders of the world, right?
What is their reasoning for Chile?
The reasoning is that it has it all. It has good food because it's in Southern America. It has a variety of terrains, and so you have the deserts, you have the beaches, right? You have penguins native to a beach.
That's pretty cool
in
to see.
Chile, because Chile goes all the way down to the southern tip of
South America.
South America, right? Which is really cool. It has your mountain ranges, so it has all the nice, beautiful geography of a mountain range, but not only a mountain range, but right next to literally a mountain range within, I'd say 100, less than 100 miles to the beach, right?
Mhm.
So it gives a really unique combination of sand to instant beach. It also has Easter Island, right?
Mhm,
On
okay.
Chile, right? You have Stonehenge and things of that nature, right? So that's their reasoning. But number 11 was the United States. And as a person who grew up in California, who has seen a lot of the United States through our father's line of work, truck
Mhm.
driver, I didn't think that we would rank on this list at all. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I thought that we'd be somewhere in the United States is pretty average. But it turns
Really?
out that, lo and behold, to my,
I figured we would be on the
misguidance.
list since we're the first to have a national park.
Just because we're the
In
first
the
to have a
world.
national park doesn't mean that we would be considered. I'm just saying the world's a big place. The United
No,
States is big,
eh.
but the world is
Bigger, true.
significantly
I'm just
bigger.
giving you my opinion here.
Okay. But we're number
Okay.
11.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it's one of the reasons why people like the United States or hate the United States, but it's the diversity of people, geography, and landscapes. We span, I'd say, roughly 30% of the North American continent, right? I'd say it's roughly divided between Canada, United States, and Mexico. That's pretty much all of North America,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have about a third of that. Maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less. Don't know in square mileage. But the point is, so large that we have many, many different ecosystems.
Oh yeah.
We have Glacier National, that almost Canadian forest, type of weather where it rains often. We
You
have
can't even
glaciers.
tell the weather.
You have. We just mentioned all of Alaska. We have glaciers, physical glaciers
Mhm.
that are miles high, right? We have
Yeah.
Yellowstone, volcanoes. We have the Rocky Mountain ranges, right?
Yeah.
We have the mountain ranges over the East Coast. The East Coast is actually really green, really lush.
Oh, Pennsylvania is gorgeous
of
during the
vegetation
spring.
like a forest in that area,
In the
right?
summer. Yeah.
We have deserts, right? We have the Mojave Desert. We have the dunes. We have the
Here
Grand
in
Canyon.
California,
We
yeah,
have the
Arizona.
Colorado River. We have the Mississippi River, right? We have Zion National Park. We have Yosemite. We got Half Dome.
You have
We have our
Washington, which is almost green year round.
Oregon,
And
right?
uh-huh.
You have our beaches, right? You go southern, you go to Florida. You got swamps. You got the bayou. You go to, where is it?
Where? California?
Louisiana.
Oh,
You go to Louisiana.
Yeah.
You got more swamps. You got different kind of
different
culture,
kind of swamp. Yep.
right?
You have
And,
Highway 1
you know-
in California.
we have peninsulas, we have islands, we have Hawaii,
The redwood trees.
we have the redwoods, we have Sequoia.
Yes,
We
Sequoia.
have,
That's another park we should visit. I
Yes,
want to
you
actually
have-
go and camp there.
As much as I hate the Joshua trees, and I think they're pretty dumb, and it's a hot take, I think they're just trees, and I understand that they're protected because they only exist in 2 places in the world. I understand that, jazz. Man, are they ugly? Man, I don't think they're beautiful. Man, I think they're overhyped.
They're
We
so
have
ugly.
Joshua
They're
tree.
but you understand they're
We
so
have
ugly.
Joshua
They're
tree.
beautiful.
I understand that people like Joshua Tree. I'm a hater for Joshua Tree, and I will
Okay.
probably always be a hater of Joshua Tree.
Mhm.
It's just rock, dirt, and Joshua trees, dude. I drive past that shit all the time. Neither here nor there, right? We have waterfalls, right? We share Niagara Falls with Canada, right?
We share Glacier
have
National Park with Canada.
We have the Great Lakes,
Yep.
right? We have Big Sur mountain range here.
We have Alaska.
We said
All
Alaska
of
already,
Alaska. Oh yeah.
right? We have the Great
Maine.
Plains,
Maine is
right?
gorgeous.
And so
New
United
Hampshire,
States
Vermont.
is, obviously speaking biased in the sense that we know the United States the best.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why it's on the list now. Now that I'm older and I, more understanding, right? So yeah, we're number 11. Moving on. Funny enough,
Top
they
10.
kind of just bundled South America all into one all-encompassing place, which was interesting. But similar reasons for United States, just diversity of
So
landscapes.
South America's number 10.
South America is number 10.
So all of South America.
All of South America.
I could believe it. I mean, you got Brazil, you got
Brazil,
Argentina,
you got
Chile.
Argentina, Colombia,
Peru,
yeah,
Guatemala.
yeah,
You have
Panama,
yeah.
right? All of that, right? I understand, right? It's great. You got Cape Town, right? You have, I'm sure there's wonderful beaches. It's near the equator, so the water's going to be warmer, and we're not going to have the cold Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, they're more tropical weather.
Yeah. Number 9 was Greece. Like you said, similar
Greece, yep.
similar reasons to probably that of
Croatia.
But it has a lot of like these islands that are formed, right, and beaches and islands, and really rocky terrain transitioning into like clear ocean side, right. It's definitely more of a sea, terrain.
Sea beauty. Mm-hmm.
Right. But following that, we have Australia, which we know is its own continent, which makes sense why it's on here. It's gigantic for an island.
It is.
And isn't every continent just a giant island?
Yeah, all things
my
are
argument
just
is
islands. I say the same thing.
because we're all surrounded by water.
Mm-hmm.
Neither here nor there. But
Australia
has it all. It has snow, it has mountains, it has desert, it has rainforest, has beaches,
and the deadliest animals on the planet.
and like 80% of the deadliest animals in the place.
Yep.
Norway, similar beauty to Iceland, is its breathtaking mountain ranges.
That is definitely somewhere I want to go see. Norway.
Yes, in combination with its, sea town vibes and very rocky terrain, which leads to a lot of less large green vegetation, but more of that, like, snow, mountainy area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the United Kingdom on here, right? Because it's also an island, but has more grass, greenery, vegetation, and it also has the castles that were built.
All the old castles, yeah.
Right, and things of that nature, right? And then obviously there's France, which is, I hear France is mostly farmland. That's a joke for the French listener. But France is beautiful. It's very green, very flat, very much so. It has.
Is it a natural beauty or a man-made beauty of France? I've heard it's more of a man-made beauty.
It's definitely more of a man-made, but it's also natural because it does have the way France's geography works is actually really interesting. The reason it was such a powerful, nation for so long was because it really only had one way to enter, right? It has a mountain range. If you're looking at France on a map, right, you have France, and then right next to France you have Germany. It has essentially a mountain range that acts as a border between Germany
and France,
and then a mountain range that acts as a border between France's northern border. And so there's like a small opening where the two mountain ranges don't touch. And it kind of creates like this V shape, and it creates like a funnel of where you can, back in the day when we still fought in horseback and armies and whatnot, defend. You defend that spot, you defend all of central France. But as
Mm-hmm.
soon as that spot falls, you lose control of that. All of central France just falls. Which is why every time France has been invaded successfully, it has completely fallen. Because defenses are really good until it's, not. But I'm sure France has the similar geography to Germany. And Germany, I've heard, is also beautiful. They're right next to each other. Their latitude and longitude are not very different. So I'm sure it's lush and green. And
we
it
gotta
also
go
has
check them out.
has all the traditional French stuff. Has the
Mm-hmm.
the castles and the architecture and the Eiffel Tower and the wee wee.
And the wee.
But Switzerland is another one on the list, which I'm sure we don't have to mention. I know a lot of people know Switzerland is known for its beauty and also for its, really interesting banking system.
Yeah.
What
number is Switzerland on there?
Switzerland's number 4. Sorry, Seth. France is number 5.
Okay.
Switzerland's number 4. Canada, number 3. Another big surprise. Probably
and we're
for
so
similar
close.
reasons. Yes, probably for similar reasons as the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Geography takes up a third of the North American continent. And if it's anything like Glacier National, I can understand why people like it. It's jaw-dropping. It has mountains. It has, all the wildlife. It's got the beavers.
Everything.
It's got the wolves. It's got the bears. It's got the moose. It's got the geese. It's got the deers. It's got the bucks. It's got the bison. It's got pretty much all the big wildlife that you can imagine of that are, iconic to North America exists in Canada, and it's significantly better maintained in Canada than it is in the United States. A large majority of Canada's land is actually unusable,
uninhabitable.
Not uninhabitable, just too difficult to inhabit, and as such, there's really majority, I think it's 85% of Canada's population lives in that Ontario, Toronto area.
Majority of the population is near the border.
Near the border, near the United States.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is
that northern stuff,
really just rugged wilderness. So
and
because it's mountainous and glaciers and lakes
and frozen year round,
and all of this hasn't inhabited, but it's left it in a state of very much natural beauty. So it's really untouched.
All right.
Number 2 is Italy.
Of
course. Europe. Obviously, we knew Europe was going to be on here.
And who's number 1?
But according to this website, New Zealand is number 1.
Well, I could believe that, though. I've seen pictures of New Zealand. I want to go visit.
Yeah, they're saying is the contrast in the scenery and the beauty found in the people and the culture, right?
There's areas in New Zealand where you can buy a home
and
build a house, but those are all gone. You can only buy it if someone sells it now.
Yes.
And it's literally
one home per X amount of thousands of acres of land because they don't want to disrupt the natural beauty.
Yep.
Yes, I do know about that, and New Zealand is definitely.
And then you have to build a home a specific way.
Yes.
So it goes with nature.
Yes.
With the beauty.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's got your mountain ranges. It's an island,
Mm-hmm.
So it's got your mountain ranges, but it also has your pristine lakes, and it also it's close enough to, the Southeast Asian area, tropical area, to where you still get greenery and kind of luscious forest and rain, but it's also mountainous enough so you still get snow, and so it's just another diverse location on the planet. But yeah, pretty beautiful. What's the country that you expected to be on the list that wasn't on the list? I can tell you, I definitely thought Germany was going to be on the list, but it wasn't on the list. Japan was also not on the list.
No, you said Japan is number 20.
I said Japan number 20. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have short-term memory. Memory of a goldfish, apparently.
I'm more surprised that China's not on the list.
I agree. I hear
China is mostly unpopulated. It's so huge.
China's so large. Russia was another one that I thought was not on the list. And I hear Russia's tundra and a large majority of Russia is also uninhabited for similar reasons as Canada.
Too cold.
Cold and rocky in terrain, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right?
Or Finland. I'm surprised Finland wasn't on there either. I heard Finland is actually really beautiful too, even though it is cold and frozen most of the year.
Mm-hmm. Vietnam. Surprised Vietnam was on there. Let me tell you why.
Why?
AKA Vietnam is just rainforest, the country.
Mm-hmm.
But B, they have the world's largest cave. I want you to
Oh,
understand
yeah.
that the world's largest cave. And when I'm talking about like a little cave, I'm talking. This cave is massive. You can fit like 5 Empire State Buildings in the cave
Stacked on each other or
On
in a
top.
circle?
on top of each other. It's massive, dude. And the cave is so big, and it's so deep and so wide that inside the cave there's microclimates, specific and species of animal that only live inside that cave. That is another place I would like to visit. I would love to go, and there's a campsite actually you can spend inside the big mouth of the cave.
Wow.
I'd love to explore that cave.
With the guide.
With a guide, yes,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But it's a ginormous cave, and it's, I would say, a natural wonder of the world, because it's ginormous, and it is awe-inspiring to just see these giant stalagmites, and
I'm surprised by that.
it's-
Look, part of Mexico, or Mexico is within it either. So the southern part of Mexico is,
the more close to the central.
yeah,
I
it's
think-
basically green.
I think Mexico wasn't on the list, not because it didn't make the cut, not because it isn't beauty, but just because it has a bad rap in its corruption. It is well known that many of the previous cartels, have had their hands interwoven with the government in Mexico. So I think that is a big thing to stop a lot of people from really traveling there as a vacation destination.
Really? I don't know.
While
a lot of
Mexico
people
is
go.
considered a first world country, a lot of its rural parts are still severely underdeveloped.
Humongous.
Like, there's a pretty large contrast in what you see in a village in Mexico versus what you see in a city. In a city, it seems like,
First world.
If it's very much first world. In a village, it feels kind of third world-ish.
And it feels like you're
Ish.
back a few centuries.
Where, like, they don't have, water. They don't have plumbing.
No, they don't have problem. They have people that
Or if
come
they
and
do have
deliver
plumbing-
water, and then the gas.
Yeah.
They deliver
It's-
gas
it's-
into a tank.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the reasons why.
Dirt
yeah.
roads everywhere.
Yeah, it's the world's a beautiful place. There's a lot of national parks, a lot of places to visit. If you're in the United States, I definitely recommend for you guys to go take a vacation or a weekend trip to visit a national park and marvel
Definitely.
at what nature has made, because it's pretty beautiful. You're only here for so long. Obviously, if you don't care, to
If it's
look
not
at
your
it.
thing,
It's not your thing, not your thing. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. It's just a recommendation. But yeah,
so what would your experience? Good?
I already said
Or
good.
bad?
I told
Good?
you 8. I told you 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
I said it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely good. I
Well,
would do it again. Maybe not for
definitely.
7 days. I did miss.
Well, maybe not 7 days.
I did
with
miss
the
having
same
nice.
people.
I did miss coming home to a nice warm bed. That's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Not gonna lie. Other than that, like the days, highs. The days were great. When the
Mhm.
sun was giving me warmth and energy.
I think if you just had a better sleep, if you had my sleeping bag, you'd be Gucci.
Be possible.
I think so.
Be possible. But
I think so.
we won't find out till the next time.
I'll
we go
gift it to
camping.
you.
It's okay.
It's gonna be a Christmas present.
Thank you, sir. I'd rather have the foam pad than the sleeping bag, to be honest. But neither here nor there.
Mhm.
I think that's all we have for you today. A relatively
that's it,
relaxed
guys.
episode. Just kind of detailing nature and our vacation.
And our experience with the national park.
Yeah. If you guys are interested, I definitely would recommend looking at vacation races. They offer a lot of 5Ks, 10Ks. They also offer
marathons.
international and ultra marathons, half marathons, and also international trips. But yeah, thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know if you've ever been to a national park and what your experience is, or if you've been camping and what your experiences are. So thank you
We'd love
guys.
to hear.
Yeah,
Thank
we'd
you
love to hear
guys.
from you guys.
And see you next week.
Yep, see you next week. Take care.